All right, we're good? All right. So, Parashat Vayechi, and last Parashat in the book of Bereshis. We're going to be a little repetitive on certain subject matter, because we have to get to a certain point. First of all, it's just very interesting, because I just want to say for tonight, that you see that the Yaakov Avinu lived 147 years. 130 years, he said to Paro, I had a tough life. And 17 years, he lived in Mitzrayim, quietly, everything was great. He didn't go through any tzaras. So I saw tonight in a sefer, why doesn't it talk about the 17 years that he was in Mitzrayim? It just says, Yaakov came down to Mitzrayim, he met Yosef, and then right away, he lived 147 years. He called his son, I'm dying. What happened during those 17 years? So I saw today that those 17 years he had peace and quiet, and nothing was happening. He wasn't going through any trials and tribulations. He says the Torah is here to teach us lessons of life. There's no lessons of life of living for 17 years without going through any sorrows or anything. There's no lessons to be learned. So the Torah doesn't talk about it. It says, Avram Avinu says, Avram Zakim Baba Yamim, Vashem Berech Avram Bakal. He was old, right? And then Hashem gave him everything. And then doesn't talk about him anymore. Doesn't say anything about Avram Avinu till by the beans, when he sells them, when Esav and Yaakov sells them the beans. Why was he selling the beans? Because Avram died that day. Doesn't talk about him. In the beginning, he talks about every move that he made. Or Kazdum, Lech Lecha, Sedaim, Sarimenu, everything. All of a sudden, doesn't talk about him anymore. And the answer is, because after he got older and he lived a perfect life, the Torah is not here to tell stories. Not what it's here for. It is here to teach us lessons of life, which I'm going to talk about tonight. And therefore, the parts that were quiet, that there was no tests or trials or tribulations, the Torah doesn't need to talk about that. So everything that you see in this, in Bereshis, Shmos, Vayikra, everything that's there is to teach you something. It's not a history book. It's not a story book. Therefore, the part where they're living, I'm sure Yaakov went to shul every day and he had a minyan, and he had supper and he had breakfast, and he taught Torah. The Torah doesn't talk about that, because there's nothing, we don't need to learn from that. What we need to learn from is all the different situations that he went through. So, you remember, we spoke about, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the chidah, that when we were talking about Yosef and this whole thing that he went through, that Yaakov Avinu was a Gilgal of Adam Harishon. And Yosef was a Gilgal also of Adam Harishon. He got a part of Adam Harishon. But Yaakov was the one that was supposed to misaken what Adam Harishon did wrong. What Adam Harishon did wrong? He separated for 130 years. After Chava got him to eat from the tree, he was very upset. So he separated from her. I guess he wasn't happy that she got him into this kind of trouble. So he separated from her for 130 years. During those 130 years, he did an Aveira. Chidah is not very clear if it was something that happened to him while he was sleeping at night or something that he actually did on purpose. But he wasted seed, and because of that, the whole world, all these neshamas got spread out through the whole world. That was the Dor HaMabul, the generation of the Mabul, the Dor HaFlaga. Now all these neshamas that he wasted were in Mitzrayim, and the Jewish nation had to go down there and collect them and bring them to Har Sinai to fix them by Matan Torah. That was the job that the Klal Yisrael, and that's why we had to go to Mitzrayim. That's why we went to Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the holiest, had to go into the palace because that's where the holiest of those neshamas were. So Yaakov Avinu's job was to be Misakin, because that's what a Gilgal, that's what we come back here for, to fix what happened, what happened last time. And Yaakov Avinu's job was to do that, and he did it. He suffered 130 years to fix the 130 years that Adam separated from his wife and caused that Aveira to happen. Yaakov had to fix that, and that's what the Torah Vayechi starts off with, right? That, how long did he live? He lived 147 years. 70 of those years were in Mitzrayim, cool, good years, good life. but 130 he suffered. So the 130 suffering was for the 130 years that he had to fix for Adam. How do we know that he fixed it? Anyone here know? How do we know that he fixed it? So, Parashat Vayechi is called a Parashat Stuma. Parashat Stuma means, like yesterday, I'm a Kohen, so I get that first Aliyah. So the first Aliyah, you see, normally when a Parasha chapter, when a Parasha ends, so the next Parasha is the space, about this much. So that you know, Bereshit ended, Noach started. Right? Noach ended, Lech Lecha started. Lech Lecha ended, Vayechi started. So the Balkar, it's very easy for him to see the difference. But now, this Parasha is the only Parasha in the Torah where Vayechi and Vayigash are connected. There's no separation. So yesterday the Balkar was looking for the word Vayechi because you don't have that separation. So he couldn't find it. So we were both looking for the word Vayechi. And there's another Vayechi somewhere in the middle of the Parasha that we thought was the Vayechi. So it's called a Parasha Stuma. It's a closed Parasha. Why is this Parasha closed? Every other Parasha is open. So there are many reasons given. One reason is that Klal Yisrael, the Golus started this week's Parasha, everybody dies. All the Shvatim die, Yaakov dies, and that's when we went into Golus, into Golus. But another answer is that he wanted to tell us when Mashiach was going to come, to make it easier on us. So we know when he's going to come, not all these different stories, like 2 days ago the world was supposed to be destroyed. And I remember in 1999, by New Year's, I watched the ball drop in Australia, because Australia was the first place on the map, in the globe, that New Year's was in. So I figured if this is really going to happen, what you're saying, that at the change of the century, the whole world's going to blow up, and all the computers are going to go crazy.
How was that possible?
It wasn't. In Australia, it wasn't in Australia. It was Thursday night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I remember watching it, and because at that point, all the computers were supposed to go haywire, because they weren't programmed, and to see if the whole Sydney was going to, they were in Sydney, they were filming, if all the lights were going to go off, then we know we'd be in trouble if they didn't go off. So all these, the world's going to be destroyed, and the Mayans are gone, right? The Mayans were supposed to be, and now they're saying, this didn't work, so now they're saying 2022, and when that doesn't work, it'll be 2042, it doesn't make a difference. Yaakov wanted to tell us really when Mashiach is going to come. Hashem did not let. Why? Because if you knew when Mashiach was coming, then we could sin till the day before, and then the day before, do tshuva.
2011, they had the same thing.
Okay, whatever. We say every single day in the morning, he's coming today. It's coming today. So we don't go by that. So Lamaisa, he couldn't tell them because Hashem did not want him to say. So Stuma, Hashem closed his Ruach HaKodesh. But I want to say a whole different share. So first of all, the Chidah says that what is the word that's out of place? So the last word in Vayigash, which is Vayifru Vayirbu Ma'od, is where it's supposed to be. Ma'od ended where it's supposed to be. Vayechi is out of place. Vayechi was supposed to be here, right? A space after Ma'od, and Vayechi is here. So the word that's out of place is life. The word Vayechi, not Ma'od. So really, they're connected. Really what it says, when I saw them yesterday read the Torah, it says, Ma'od Vayechi Yaakov. They're all together. Yaakov lived a lot, if you read it that way. But that's not how the Chidah reads it, boys. Chidah says, how do you know that Yaakov was a Gilgul of Adam, and that he did what he had to do? Ma'od, and that's the reason it's together. It's not separated. It's stuma. Ma'od, Vayechi Yaakov. If you take the word Ma'od, Mem Aleph Daled, it spells Adam. Adam, Vayechi Yaakov. Adam lived through Yaakov. That's why they're together. And that's how you know there is a Gilgul. Everything's in this book, guys. You just got to know how to read it. Everything is here. Ma'od Vayechi Yaakov, Adam Vayechi Yaakov. Adam lived through Yaakov. Vayehi Yimei Yaakov Shnei Chai Sheva Shana. And 130 of those years where he went through very hard times with Dinah and Yosef and Rachel dying and everything that he went through, Lavan and Esav, Mamash, every minute, to be Masakein the 130 years that Adam was separated from Chava. Very fascinating chidah. Chidah also says, you have to learn chidah, that it says that when he came in, he sat at the edge of his bed. He sat at the head of his bed. Let me see where it is. It's in Pasuk Chav Ches Lamed Aleph. Chav Ches Lamed Aleph. Ches Lamed Aleph. No, it can't be Chav Ches Lamed Aleph. It said he got up. No, let's see. Yosef HaTzaddik al Hamita. Where does he bench the boys? Al-Reish Hamita. Where is that pasuk? Vayikruvu pasuk chavta. Vayikruvu Yimei Yisrael Lamos. Vayikruvu Yosef. He said, if you find favor, put your hand and swear to me. What does it say? Reish. It's saying over here. No, he got up on the edge, on the front of his bed. It says it in the Parashat. Chavches through Lamed Aleph. So where are you? Chavches through Lamed Aleph. Maybe it's not this Chavches. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. He said, swear to me, and he swore to him. And Yisrael, Yaakov Avinu, bowed down towards the head of his bed. What's that all about? So he says, Rosh Hamita is the beginning of the bed, means Adam Harishon, and he was Misakein Rosh Hamita because he had three things against him. Adam: Shvichas Damim, Gilei Harayos, and Gilei Harayos, and Avodah Zarah. So Avraham Avinu was Misakein Avodah Zarah because he destroyed Avodah Zarah in the world and he brought God into the world. Yitzchak was because of Shvichas Damim, he was willing to spill his own blood to be on the Akedah, so he fixed that. And Yaakov Avinu was here to fix the Gilei Harayos, what we said that happened in the 130 years. Yaakov Avinu was very scared that he wasn't misakein what Adam did. Why did he think he wasn't misakein? Because he married two sisters, and two sisters is Gilei Harayos. You're not allowed to marry two sisters. And he married two sisters. Now he didn't keep the Torah outside of Eretz Yisrael, all the Torah. So he married the two sisters when he was by loved one. When he came into Eretz Yisrael, Rachel died. So he was only married to one sister at that point. So he was worried that it was against halacha what he did. So he was guaranteed by Hashem that if none of your children die while you're alive, then you're guaranteed that you're going to have a perfect Gan Eden, that you did everything that was right. When they told him that Yosef died, so he thought, oh my gosh, he not only he didn't help Adam because he did Gilei Harayos, so he did the same thing as Adam, right? And that he was being punished, that he did the wrong thing. When he found out that Yosef was alive, so it says he got his Chaim back, he got his Ruach back, right? Because he realized, when he thought he was dead, he thought he did an Avera by marrying two sisters. Now he realized that he didn't do Avera by marrying two sisters. So when it says that he bowed down to Rosh Hamita, he said that, Baruch Hashem, I realized at this point that I have Yosef here, that marrying two sisters was not that I did something wrong. So he says, the Rosh Hamita was considered Adam Harishon. So he was like, Adam, I did what I had to do. I fixed it. I thought that the two sisters were the problem, but you see, Yosef is here for a bracha. Yosef is a raya. I didn't lose any children while I was alive, and that's why he bowed down in front of his bed. To say that I was misakein what I needed to be misakein. So you realize that what looks like is going on is not what really is going on. So I want to go back to Yosef HaTzaddik. And I just came from the 5 towns. I spoke on the subject. I think it's very, very, very important for all of us. So Yosef was. We have to try. And so I'm going to go back a little bit to what I said last week. We have to try to understand what Yosef was going through. So we spoke a few weeks ago that when the Malach met him, when he was going to his brothers, so the Malach said to him, not where are you going? He said, what do you want? He asked Yosef HaTzaddik, what do you want? Like, what do you want in life? What do you want? What are you looking for? What do you want? He should have asked him, where are you going? You look lost, right? He asked him, what do you want? Yosef said, all I want to do is belong. I want to be one of the brothers. They don't like me. They don't count me as a brother. I want to be one of the brothers. That's what he said to them. So he told them, okay, if you want to be one of the brothers, go to your brothers. You know, that's where they are. And he went, and of course, they didn't call him a brother. They were already planning how to kill him. And they never used the word brother on him. Really to get the point across, you have to know the psukim. Let's do the psukim so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so by Vayechi, right? So he sends Yosef. And it says, V'aviv shamar sadava, which is interesting. V'yikanu by achiv, his brothers were jealous of him, says the Torah. V'aviv shamar sadava. But his father kept the matter in his mind because he knew that he knew who Yosef was, and he knew if he had 2 dreams in a row on the same subject, Yaakov understood that Shamar Sadava, I can't just make way and say, oh, he had a dream. I have to watch because it's going to come true. I know this, but I don't know how. I know somewhere down the line we're all going to bow down to him, but I don't know the cheshbon. For Shamar Sadava, in other words, he didn't push it aside and say, my son has crazy dreams. He said, I got to watch this. When you watch something, you got to keep it. I got to keep an eye on this. This is going to happen. Well, I don't know how this is going to happen. So I got to keep an eye on it. But his brothers, they called him a Navi Sheker. They said, you're making yourself a king. Yehuda has the kingdom. So you're Moirid b'malchus. You're going against the kingdom. You deserve death. It's how they pass you. You deserve death. You're Moirid b'malchus. You're saying Yehuda is not the king. You're going to be the king. Everyone's going to bow down to you. You're Moirid b'malchus. You're Chai Misa. That's the judgment that they came. Right? So, what do you want? So he said, I want my brothers. That's all I want. I don't want anything. I don't want money. I want a car. I want to be accepted. All of us in this room, we all want to be accepted. Either by our parents, by our friends, by our teachers, by our wives, by our kids, whatever it is. Human beings have the need not to live alone. Hashem created us not to be alone. We all need to be accepted. We will pretty much sell our souls. We will do whatever it takes to be accepted. If you study gangs, the Crips, all these guys in California, everybody, the gang mentality is that I will kill or be killed as long as I belong to something, as long as I belong to the gang. So they will do whatever they have to initial rights to become part of the gang, or they'll go into a gang fight knowing they're going to get a bullet. Were you crazy? Why do you want to get a bullet? Because it's my posse, it's my boys. So the ability to say my posse, my boys, my chevra, that is so endearing and so important to all of us. We're willing to give up our lives for it. So we as human beings, we need to belong. That's why the street is as strong as it is, because if a kid's not doing well in school, so he feels I don't belong in school, then his parents get on him. I don't belong at home. If I don't belong at home, I don't belong in school, I'll go to the street. Because in the street, you're totally accepted. You can be accepted nowhere in the world. The street accepts all. There's no judgment on the street. We accept you as you are. Rich, poor, your father's Rosh Hashiva, your father's a guy. We don't care where you come from. You know, you're beautiful, you're great, you're whatever you want to be. You're one of us. One of us. Those words are huge. Huge. The Arabs, the Muslims that blow up people, it's jihad, being part of jihad is worth killing yourself for. I am part of a much bigger group, much bigger being than myself. I am part of it. So for that, I'll blow up myself. I will blow up myself. And if you the psyche of kids, and the reason that we want kids to be accepted, even if one Rebbe accepts you, one person in the world accepts you. That's why the Gemara says if you have one friend, you feel like you belong to something, then it keeps you going. That's the whole chashivas of a team. I love playing ball my whole life. On a basketball team, on a hockey team, on a baseball team. I don't like playing tennis. And I don't like playing golf. And my friends are all playing golf today. We're too old to play basketball. And I have no interest in bicycling. And I went into my own psyche, because to be healthy you have to be able to think yourself. And I'm like, well, my friends are all bicycling, even though I can't get into that stuff that they wear. It's too tight for me to wear. You know what I mean? I'll look silly on it, right? But even if I could get into it, in the spandex, whatever they call that stuff, I don't enjoy biking. Why don't I enjoy biking? And I know why. Because since I'm a little boy, I played hockey. And I was a left winger. And I'm on a team. And my job is to go into the corner and center the puck and give it to someone else to score the goal. I'll tell you the honest truth. Passing the puck on a good, sharp pass feels better than getting the goal. When you make that pass, when you make the assist, because I'm part of a team, and there are 4 other guys that are depending on me. 5 other guys, actually, with the goalie, right? They're depending on me. So there's a psychology that, so as a person, I like to be on a team. So playing golf, it's just me. I'm not on a team. I'm not on anybody's team. Going on a bicycle, I'm not on anybody's team. I like team sports. Because when I'm on a team, that means I'm accepted and depended upon, and I depend on others, and they depend on me, and we're a group. Yosef HaTzaddik had 11 brothers, and he wasn't accepted by any of them. And when the Malach came and said, so what do you want? You got the Ksenis Patzim, you're your father's favorite, right? You're considered the Bechar because Yaakov was supposed to marry Rachel, not Leah. So Yosef was really the Bechar. So the Malach said, you have everything. You have everything. So what do you want? He said, it's all not worth anything if my brothers don't accept me as one of them. So as Achai, my brothers, that's who I'm looking for. It's all he wanted. And the truth is, that's all we want. And many times in marriage, right? And I'm doing Shalom Bayis, whatever it is, and she's like, his friends are much more important to him than me. You know, for me, he'll buy the wrong thing. For them, he'll never buy the wrong thing. For me, he can't get up in the morning. But when they need something, and they're going on a guy's trip, he's up already 3 o'clock packing. So if you break it down, and why does it hurt her? You think she doesn't want you to have fun? You think because she doesn't feel like she belongs. She feels like an outsider. That's the worst feeling. And that's what Yosef told the Malach. There are 11 guys out there, and I'm not one of them. That's what I want. So he goes happily to meet his brothers, dreaming that I'm coming to see how they're doing. I'm being sent by my father, right? So they're going to accept me. Yeah, they're going to accept you. So what happens? He goes, and they see him from they see him from far. Before he's even near them. That's how much he was hated. They're already planning how to kill him. Now, what do they say? They say, very, very important pasuk, because Torah doesn't waste words. Vayomru ish el achiv. And each guy said to his brother. So they're one posse, these 11. They all consider each other brothers. The Torah tells you. Each one said to his brother, right? Hine, not our brother's coming. Baal hachaloimos, the dreamer. He's not our brother. He's not part of this family, right? And of course, we know what happens. They sell him. Fine. He goes to Mitzrayim, Potiphar's wife, goes to jail, right? Pashas Miketz. Now what happens? They come down to the reason I'm telling you all this again is because I'm going to make a very big point at the end. But you have to understand Yosef's psyche, because then you'll understand why he was called Yosef HaTzaddik. Okay, so now they come down to Mitzrayim, and what happens? The same thing. Let's get down to where they come down to Mitzrayim. The Rav starts, okay. Yosef hu hashalit al haaretz. He's the king. He's the man. Right? Vayavai achei Yosef, and his brothers come, vayishtachu lo yapayim arza, and they bow down twice. Both dreams just came true. Twice, Illumim, the bundles, the stars, they both just came true. So now Yosef said, aha. They called me a Navi Sheker. They said I'm a Navi Sheker. That this thing that I'm saying is not a dream. I was saying that it was in a Vias, right? They said it's a Navi Sheker. How can we bring that down to you? Now he realized, I'm right. Because now the Nevi'is came true. Until then, he didn't know that he was right. But now they bow down twice. So now he knew he's right. And that he's not a Navi Sheker. And that he was the right one. They were wrong. Okay. So what does he say? Okay. And he recognized them. And he spoke hard. And he said, you're a bunch of spies. And the Torah continues the story. It's reporting to us what's going on. And Yosef recognized that these are my brothers, which he always recognized, but they never recognized. They still did not recognize him. His want and his need was to be accepted. He's a Mitzri, they're brothers. They still did not recognize him, which is a Chiddush Gadol, because he looked exactly like his father. The Medrash says when he looked in the mirror, when he looked in the glass, when he was opening the window by Potiphar's wife, he didn't see his father; he saw himself. But he looked exactly like his father. So it's Dikuna Shalavim. So how could they not recognize him? It's true when he left, I never understood that answer. You know why he didn't recognize him? Because he was clean shaven when he was 17 years old. He didn't have a beard yet. Now he had a beard, he didn't recognize him. No, just the opposite. Now he had a beard, he looked exactly like his father. Because his father had a beard. So it's just the opposite. Now they were looking at Yaakov Avinu. He looked exactly like him.
They didn't want to recognize him. That's what it was.
Right? And Binyamin surely should have seen it. So you can tell me the other ones didn't want to recognize him because they were so sure that they were right. So if they would have, it's so true. When you make a decision about somebody, right? Whether you're a teacher or a parent or in life, you make a judgment on someone. You can go to court. They can be found guilty. You can bring all the riots in the world, but you're so sure you're right that you cannot see anything. So over here, if they would have recognized that it was Yosef, they would have realized that the dream came true and that they were wrong. They could not recognize that it was Yosef. There's no way. Maybe it looks like him. Everybody has a twin in this world, they say. They'll find every excuse. But that can't be Yosef, because Yosef's a liar. And Yosef's a Navi Sheker. So I don't care what you find out and what evidence there is, I don't believe it. So they could not recognize him. He looked exactly like his father. But they were like, no way. Because if he's Yosef, I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. So he recognized them, says the Torah. He recognized them, but they didn't recognize him. So he still didn't get his wish that he should be accepted by his brothers. Fine. So he comes up with a master plan. He's brilliant. Yosef said, you know what we're dealing with? We're dealing with shiftei ka. So if you bang your finger tonight in the kitchen, the first thing you're going to say in your head is, what did I do wrong with my finger? Mida keneged mida. If you get an earache, right? If I get an earache, I'm thinking to myself, what lashon hara did I listen to? Mida keneged mida. So what did Yosef do? He says, they need to do tshuva. They're wrong. Raya, they bow down to me. So that means I'm not a Navi Sheker. They need to do tshuva. If I'm going to tell them that I'm Yosef, then they're going to do tshuva me'ira. Oh my God. He's the king. He's going to kill us, right? That's not a real tshuva. They need to do tshuva me'ava. They need to come on it to themselves. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set up the perfect mida keneged mida. I'm going to say they're spies. They know they're not spies. They're going to go back and say, this guy is choshev b'ksherim. This guy is calling us spies. We're not spies. Hashem, why would someone call us spies if we're not spies? Why would you cause the king of Mitzrayim to be choshev b'ksherim? Must be, it's mida keneged mida. because we were choshev b'ksherim, right? Oh my God. That means that we thought Yosef was guilty and he wasn't. We need to do tshuva. Any person would think that way. So that's what Yosef was brilliant. So they're going to figure out from my hint that they're choshev b'ksherim. Then they're going to say, oh, we were choshev Yosef b'ksherim. Now we got to do tshuva. Beautiful. Master plan. Should have worked. Didn't work. What happens? Yehuda's like, what's going on over here, right? So what does he say? He says to his brothers, he's the leader. He says, we did a sin. We sinned against our brother. So Yosef's sitting there listening to this. He's not supposed to understand Hebrew, right? So they don't understand that he's listening. So what does he say? He says, we did something very wrong, and we're being punished. Why? Because we did not have pity on our brother when he begged us not to sell him, right? We didn't have pity on him, and therefore we're being punished. And Yosef is listening to this, and he says, oh my God, they totally missed it. The wrong that you did is not that you didn't have pity on me. The wrong that you did is you choshev b'ksherim. You said I'm a Navi Sheker, and I wasn't a Navi Sheker. So here I am, sending you a Mida Kinegi Mida, and you're walking out and saying, you know why this is happening to us? You know why this guy's saying that we're spies? Because we should have had more pity. So what they were saying to Yosef was, what they were saying to each other is, our verdict that we came to, that he's guilty, is correct. We are right. But the punishment, the sentence that we gave him, that he was sold to Mitzrayim, we should have had rachamim on him. We're right. But when he begged us, we should have come up with a different idea. Yosef's like, you're doing tshuva on the wrong thing. You're doing tshuva not having rachamim on me. That's not what you did wrong. What you did wrong is you judged me falsely. So Yosef said, okay, I'll try it again. You didn't get it the first time. I'll do it again. Takes the cup, puts it in Binyamin's sack. The same exact thing. They're about to leave Mitzrayim, right? No, you think of a thing I heard this week. Someone told me in shul that it says, this is unbelievable. It says that they weren't far out of Mitzrayim when they caught them with the cup. Why do I have to tell us? Hold on, you got to hear this pasuk. Vayechi they sent them away. They were just out of the city at that point. They didn't get far. When Yosef told everyone, go, policemen, go down and check out there. Why did the Torah have to tell us they didn't get far? Why do we need to know? That's a GPS. Why do we need to know that they didn't get far? So he said that he saw in a sefer, an old sefer, that he knew that the koyach of Tfilas HaDerech, right? If they would have said Tfilas HaDerech, he wouldn't have been able to do anything to them. So the Torah tells us that they were still in the city limits, so they didn't say Tfilas HaDerech here. That's why the Torah says it. He said he saw in an old sefer. Had they been far, it would have said Tfilas HaDerech. Yosef HaTzaddik knew the Shvatim say Tfilas HaDerech, that nothing, and when you say on Tfilas HaDerech, that nothing should happen to you, we wouldn't have been able to touch them. So the Torah tells us they weren't yet out of the city limits to say Tfilas HaDerech. I never heard this pshat. It's an amazing pshat, and that's what he told me. Anyway, so what happens? So he goes and he puts the cup in Binyamin's thing. So now again, they knew that Binyamin didn't steal a cup. Right? So now the brothers are again, choshev b'ksherim. This guy's crazy. He calls us spies. Now he says that we steal his cups. Right? So Yosef figured now the second time, again choshev b'ksherim, that Yehuda would figure out choshev b'ksherim means that. So what happened? Instead of figuring out that that's the reason they're going to do tshuva, Yehuda said like this. Vayigash Elav Yehuda, last week's parasha, he said like this. Until now, I didn't mess with this guy. Why didn't I mess with this guy? Because until now we really felt that because we didn't have pity on Yosef HaTzaddik, right, on Yosef, our brother, Hashem is punishing us. So we have to accept it. They didn't fight for Shimon when they put him in jail. They didn't fight for Shimon, right? Yehuda didn't whisper and say, I'm going to kill you, Paro, and the whole Mitzrayim if you don't let my brother go. What happened with Binyamin? That all of a sudden Yehuda decided now, that's it, finish, it's over. We're going to wipe you out. So Yehuda said like this, listen to how a person's mind can be so wrong. Yehuda said like this, until Binyamin, I thought that we're all getting punished and we have to accept whatever this king does because it's from selling Yosef and we didn't have pity on him. But now that he's taking Binyamin didn't sell Yosef. Binyamin wasn't by the whole bar. So if he's taking Yosef, if he's taking Binyamin and putting him in jail, means that it's not min hashamayim, it's not from God, it's not a punishment. If it was a punishment, Binyamin wouldn't be part of it. So here is Yosef trying to get his brothers to do tshuva, and it's going totally the other way. Now he's saying that it's not even because we didn't have pity on him. Because if it had anything to do with Mechiras Yosef, why is Binyamin going to jail? So now Yehuda said, so this is just an anti-Semite, Meshuggah Egyptian king, we're going to wipe you out. So Yosef, the pasuk says, at this point, Yosef said, oh my God, first I tell you Moraglim, you don't get it. Then I steal the cup, not only you don't get it, but now you're using the second time I did it to say that it's not even for the Rachamim. He realized, this is not going my way. They're not getting it, just the opposite. It's getting worse. And then the pasuk says, he realized, what am I going to keep doing this? I'm going to keep sending in messages that they were Chayish B'Ksherim. They're not getting it. So he said, when it comes to this point, I don't have a choice. I have to tell them that I'm Yosef. And they're going to have to do tshuva meira. Because I tried twice, and it's not working. In fact, now, they're up to the point where it's not even the Rachamim that had to do with it. It's because, it's not me. It's not a bad king. So now look at the pasuk. So he says, Yachol Yosef lis'apek, l'chol hanitzavim alav. Alav means against him. He couldn't hold back. But Yikra, Haitziu Kol Ishmael, everybody should get out. But he did his clearly he cried. So again, we spoke about this last week. He said, I am Yosef, and I accept that you made a judgment on me. But Ha'oid Avichai, he didn't say Ha'oid Avinu Chai. At this point, he said he's Yosef, so they were all brothers. So he should have said, I'm Yosef, is our father alive? He said, is my father alive? He excluded them, right? So we spoke about this last week, that Yosef was saying, I need Yosef. You know, you can make a mistake with me. But wasn't my father alive when you sold me? So where was he in the cheshbon? When you sold me, didn't you think about our father, Ha'oid Avichai? Isn't he alive these 22 years that I've been gone? Where was the cheshbon about him? So therefore, when you do something to someone, and you don't take in a cheshbon all the other people that are hurt, as far as you're concerned, they're not alive. If your parents say, come home at 12 o'clock, and at 12 o'clock, you're like, I'm having a good time. I'm not even going to call them. I'm going to come home at 1 o'clock. And from 12 to 1, your mother's sitting there tzitering. From 12 to 1, you have no mother. Because if you had a mother, then you would have called her. So when she's out of the cheshbon, what Yosef was saying over here is, since our father was not in your cheshbon, the pain that you were going to give our father, he was not in the cheshbon, therefore, Ha'oid Avichai, he's not your father. Because if he was your father, before you sold me, you would have thought about that the man's going to sit for 21 years without Ruach HaKodesh, thinking that his son's dead, thinking that he did an Aveira by being married to 2 sisters, thinking that he's going to go to hell because he was told that as long as his children are all alive, you're guaranteed. But if they're not all alive, where was he in your cheshbon? So he didn't say Ha'oid Avinu, he said Ha'oid Avichai. Where was Tati in the cheshbon? So of course, they couldn't answer. They could not answer him. They could say, we made a mistake in your judgment, but you didn't make a mistake in my father. You didn't take in. And I was speaking in the 5 towns, and I said, when you throw a kid out of yeshiva, you need to sit there and not see him. Rabbi Greenwald told me this. Not see him. You need to see his kids, his wife, his grandchildren. You're putting that kid into the street. So he's going to become not from. He may even marry a non-Jew. You may be calling it a Holocaust. You just threw him into the gas chamber. Because now all his children are going to be non-Jews. You just wiped him out. So before you're a Rebbe or a Rosh Hashiva, wherever you are, and you take a kid and you throw him out, you need to look at all the dairais that are coming out of him. You need to look at the kind of wife he's going to marry if he's on the street. You need to look at the Tisha B'Av that's in his parents' house. when he comes home and he's thrown out of yeshiva. You need to look at all those things. If you don't, then those people are not alive. That's a oid avichai. If you don't look at all that, lo yochel lanos, says the Medrash, what are you going to do when you come to Shemayim? How are you going to answer it? You can answer it. Listen, this kid was misbehaving. He was listening to Goyish music. So you can answer. I need Yosef. You made a judgment on the kid. Because we're going to say, but what about his kids? His grandchildren, his parents, his sisters, his grandparents who know that he got thrown out. What about all those people? Did you take them into your cheshbon? V'loy yochol lanos. You will have no answer. Before you do something, you need to think about the effect that it will have on everybody. What you do yourself, that's your problem. I need Yosef. But isn't Hashem alive? Isn't there a bigger picture? Isn't there a reaction to this? And it works the same way, not only when you throw a kid out, it works the same way as a parent, and it works the same way the other way as a child. What you're doing to your parents. I know you want to have fun. I know you want to party. Did you take the cheshbon? What it's putting your mother and father through? What it's putting your siblings through? I don't have to care about them. No, you don't. But you should know that as far as the Torah is concerned, they're dead. As far as you're concerned, that's not your father and mother anymore. That's the other kid's father and mother who's not putting them through that. If you're putting through that and they're not in your cheshbon, then it's ha'oid avichai, not ha'oid avinu chai. And that's what Yosef told them. And that's what they could not answer. This is my own pshat. You're not going to see this anywhere else. But when I was preparing the shir, so it says something very interesting. Ki nevhalu mipanav. They were ashamed. Mipanav is from his face or from in front of him. So I wanted to say that now, listen to this. This is my own pshat, so I can't tell you that it's MS. Maybe it's MS, maybe it's not MS. I think it's MS, but that's why I'm saying it over. So I want to say it like this. Until now, they didn't look at Yosef's face. Because they looked at it, but they didn't see that it was Yaakov, that it was Yosef. Right? Now he said, I need Yosef. So now look at my face. I'm Yosef. Ha'oid avichai. Did you care about Dad? And now they're looking at his face. So his face looked exactly like his father, says the Medrash. So what kind of halu mipanav? They couldn't look at his face because his face was Yaakov's face. So when they looked at his face, it was what the mussar that he was giving to them. What happened to that man? What happened to that face? What happened to Yaakov? You didn't care about him. Kind of halu mipanav. They couldn't handle looking at his face. When they looked at his face, they saw their father, and they saw what they did to their father for the 22 years, and they realized that his mussar was true. Couldn't handle that. That they could not handle. Kind of halu mipanav. Now you did. Okay. Now, but Yosef HaTzaddik, so now he went through all this. Unaccepted, the dreamer, but he still wants what we all want. He wants to be accepted. So it's very nice. I am now the king of Egypt. Right? But my 11 brothers, I'm not accepted by them. So he makes the move. He says, Geshuna Eli, come close to me. Vayigashu, and they came close. Vayomer, listen to what he says. Listen to the word. He doesn't say, I need Yosef this time. The first time he said, I need Yosef v'oid avichai. Now he's not giving them mussar. Now he's pleading to belong to them. I need Yosef achichem. I am Yosef, your brother. I am one of you. You sold me to Mitzrayim. I want to be achichem. So he goes on. Don't get angry. He's Mitzvah Hashem. Okay. Finally, Pasuk Tezvav. I remember by heart. It's Pasuk Tezvav. And he says the following. Vayinashek l'chol echav. And he kisses all his brothers after everything they did to him. Michael them. He never said the words he's Michael, but he kisses all his brothers. Vayevch alehem. And he cries on them. What is he crying about? What's Yosef HaTzaddik crying about? What? Happiness? No, it wasn't a cry of happiness.
Years alone. Yeah.
He's crying. He was crying because these were his brothers. He was never accepted. He was never accepted. These were his brothers. Finally, the pasuk says, "Va'achrei chen," and it's a very weird pasuk. Va'achrei chen, and after this, that he kissed them and he cried with them. Dibru echav itoy. His brothers spoke to him for the first time as brothers. Finally, he got what he wanted. What he told the Malach when he was 17 years old. What do I want? Es achai mevakesh. Ani mevakesh. I'm looking to belong. That's all I want. That's all any of us wants. Just to belong. Not to be pushed away. Just to be part of. Just to be accepted. Now, Paro knew this. Paro knew that Yosef, even though he was number 2, was not happy. He knew that Yosef was living in Mitzrayim, unhappy, by himself, not one of the brothers. So the pasuk tells us, "V'hakol nishma beis Paro." Listen to the pasuk, to the words, and a call went out. A call went out in the house of Paro. Lema saying, "Ba'u achei Yosef." The brothers of Yosef came. He is now one of the brothers. Vayitav be'eno Paro be'eno avadov, and they were happy for him. Then finally, after all this, he was back to becoming one of his brothers. Vayomer Paro el Yosef, emo el achecha. Tell this to your brothers that they should come to Eretz Yisrael, whatever they say. So here is everything that he went through. Now he looks like a very big tzaddik, but the brothers, at the end of the day, guys, still didn't trust him. What happens at the end of Parashat Vayechi? At the end of Parashat Vayechi, what do they say to him after Yaakov dies? The following. They bury him. Yosef comes back to Mitzrayim. Vayiru achei Yosef. And the brothers of Yosef, they don't get it. They don't get who their brother is. They're scared of him. Kimei saviyem, because their father died. Vayoimru, and they said, Lu yisme'enu Yosef. Maybe Yosef hates us. Right? Perhaps he has hatred against us. And now that dad's dead, he's going to take revenge. They don't get it. After all this, they're thinking that Yaakov died. He's not finished with us. He's going to take revenge. Vayitzavu el Yosef Lamar, and they tell Yosef, they make up a story, it wasn't true. Avicha tziva lifnei Moshe Lamar, Yaakov commanded us before he died, Koi Shem el Yosef, tell Yosef, Ana sana peshachecha v'chato yikruan, please forgive them for what they did. Vayechi Yosef v'daber me'elov. Yosef cried. He said, Dad, my father never said that. If you look in the Torah, Yaakov never told them to tell Yosef to forgive them. They were so scared, they so did not know who he was, that they were scared that they had made up that father told us, by the way, that you shouldn't take revenge. So he cries. And they said, we'll be slaves to you. He said, what are you talking about? What are you worried about? What do you think, I'm God? You think I'm judging you? I'm not God. You try to do bad with me. But God, He didn't want to do bad with me. He wanted to do good with me. Why? He sent me down to Mitzrayim so I could save the world and I could give them food. Listen, I want you all to learn a lesson from this boy, because we all have stuff. My Rabbi did this, my parents did this, all the stuff that happened to me. And I'm not forgiving them, and I'm not letting go. Nobody went through what Yosef went through. His brothers tried to kill him. Then they sold him. Potiphar's wife, jail. What do you want from living in Mitzrayim by himself? No minyan, no yeshiva, alone with his kids, no other Jews. Hello? Who was treated like this? So what does he say to them at the end? It's men hashemayim. Al tiro, don't worry. Anochi akalkal eschem, I will feed you. Ves tapchem, and I will give your children to eat. Vayinochem oisam vayidaber libam. Listen to the godless of this man. You hurt me. You hurt me. You sold me. You tried to destroy me. In the end, vayinochem oisam, he comforted them. They did the bad. They did the bad to him. And in the end, he's telling them, I'm comforting them. And he's talking to their heart. He's telling them, don't worry about it. forgive you. It's only for the good. I'll take care of you, bros. They excluded him. That he's not one of the brothers. And now at the end of the whole story, where it's coming to a conclusion, he's comforting them. He's telling them, I got your back. You pushed me away. I got your back. And he comforted them. And the end, last pasuk. We'll end with this thought. When Yosef died, he was 110 years old. They mummified him. And the Egyptians used to mummify to keep the body from rotting. And they put him in a coffin in Mitzrayim. So I've spoken about this many times. That's not the way you end the book of Bereshis. The last pasuk in a sefer capsulizes everything that happened. This is the worst pasuk in the whole Torah. It is. It's the worst pasuk. Yosef died. They mummified him, put him in a coffin, and buried him in Mitzrayim. And all of us in Shul this Shabbos are going to be screaming, Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazak. Be strong. He's dead. He's in a coffin. He's in Mitzrayim. Yay! What's going on here? How does this last pasuk, at the end of the book, take the whole book and capsulize it into one pasuk? What is this pasuk doing at the last pasuk of Bereshis, of creation? Every other Shemos, if you look at Shemos, Vayikra, B'mim, Dvarim, you'll see that the last pasuk talks about Moshe, Klal Yisrael, sort of sums up the whole book. What's going on over here? It looks like it's a terrible. It is. It's a very depressing pasuk. You don't come in with a yay pasuk saying he died. First of all, it never says in the Torah that anybody was buried in a coffin. What do I need to know? They put him in a box. Of course, they put him in a box, right? It never said before that they died. Vayigva, Vayamos, right? They buried him in Mars HaMachpelah. What's with the coffin bit? It doesn't tell me that Reuben had a coffin, Shimon had a coffin, Avram had a coffin, Yitzchak had a coffin, Yaakov had a coffin, Moshe. Doesn't say anywhere anyone had a coffin. All of a sudden, and you need to know that they mummified him. Yay, I need to know that. And they put him in a coffin. What do I need to know about the coffin? You guys say this every year. You scream chazak, chazak. And hello, Rabbi, what's with the coffin bit? And why would you end the whole Bereshis? Bereshis creation, Noach, Adam, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Shvatim. There's a lot going on here. That he died and you put him in a coffin? That's why I end the whole Bereshis? What's going on over here? So the Torah is a very important lesson to all of us. Yosef HaTzaddik, as you can see from the story I just told you, was totally against normal nature. If you do bad to me, I'm not comforting you and making you feel good, right? I'm not feeding you, that's for sure, right? He forgave them. He's telling them, it wasn't your fault. It's from God. He defied nature. It's not normal. He wasn't normal. It's not normal after what they tried to do to him. It's not normal. On top of that, with Potiphar's wife, right? The most beautiful woman in the whole world. It was mamish to the last second. He ran out. He said, I'm not doing this. I'm just not doing this. He went against the man's nature. She was created by the Satan to take Yosef, who was Yesod, who was foundation, to take him down. Because if he went down, the world was destroyed. That's what the Chidah says. So that woman, if the Satan is creating a woman, she's a very good-looking woman and a very provocative woman because the Satan knows how to do that. So you have to understand that it was not normal that he was able to get away. And it says, "Vayanas hachutza," he ran out. He left his outer garments, which in Kabbalah means he left his physical needs with her. Have a nice day. I'm out of here. So the Torah tells us that when Klal Yisrael came to the Yam Suf, we were stuck, right, between a rock and a hard place. That's where that word comes from. The ocean was in front of us, and behind us were crazy Egyptians shooting spears at us. And there we are. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Yam Suf, split! And the Yam Suf says, no! And Moshe Rabbeinu says, split! And the Yam Suf says, no! The Jews served Avodah Zarah, the Egyptians served Avodah Zarah, God created me. I have waves. I could freeze. I could be ice. But I don't split. That's not my natural. That's not how God created me. I have no right to go out of my nature. And therefore, the Jewish nation does not deserve a miracle any more than the Egyptians do. And Hashem is emes. Hashem is emes. And He didn't have an answer to the Yam. So they were sitting there, and they were stuck. And then all of a sudden, the Yam split. Hayam Ra Vayanos. It saw something, it says. The Hayam Ra, we said it in Hallel. Hayam Ra Vayanos. The ocean saw something, and it split right away. Ma Ra Hayam Vayanos. What did the ocean see that it split? You ready? The one word that's not by anybody else in the Torah. Arainai Shel Yosef. Yosef's coffin. He saw Yosef's coffin. So why did he split? Because when he saw Yosef's coffin, he said, Moshe Rabbeinu, for you, I don't got to split. Aaron HaKohen, for you, I don't got to split. 70 years of Canaan, I don't got to split. All the Jews, I don't got to split. But for that one in the box, since he was able to break nature, for him, I have to break nature. Mida keneged mida, and that's why the Yam split. Now let's look at this pasuk. What a crazy pasuk. The best pasuk in the whole Torah. What happened? Vayamas Yosef b'meiv shanim. He died. That's not good. Vayechatu Isai. They mummified him. Vayisem ba'aran. They put him in a coffin. Where? In Mitzrayim. Had they taken him and buried him in Israel and Shechem, like his father was buried, Yaakov, then when the Jewish nation would have come to the Yam would have never split because his Aron wouldn't have been there. So if the Yam wouldn't have never split, the Egyptians would have wiped us out. If the Egyptians wiped us out, we would have never been Makabel the Torah. Bereshis bara Elokim. Why did Hashem create the world? In order for Klal Yisrael to be Makabel the Torah. If you're not Makabel the Torah, then the whole Bereshis is wiped out. The whole Torah is wiped out. There's nothing here. The whole book, everything's gone. The only reason that the whole thing exists, that Hashem created the world, was for the Torah. Who got you across the Yam to get the Torah? Yosef HaTzaddik. How did he get you there? By sacrificing himself to be in the Nile until we left Mitzrayim. He said, but when you leave Mitzrayim, swear to me that you're going to take me up. Because without me, you're not getting past the Yam Suf. And Kachoya. So this pasuk that looks like coffin, death, buried in Mitzrayim, your poor Yosef got buried in Mitzrayim, not like Yaakov, and he had to go through Kinim and all the other makkahs that Yaakov didn't want to go to. This is the most nebuch pasuk in the Torah. No. When we finish this pasuk, we say, Chazak, Chazak, Minis Chazak. Everybody that's in shul, listen, you're going through tough times in life, hurricanes and shmad, and the Jewish nation going through all this terrible stuff. We're dead. We're mummified. We're buried. This is Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is the Satan. Meitzar. He's the one that chokes you. Right? We're in Mitzrayim. We're dead. We're in Mitzrayim. And we're singing, Chazak, Chazak, Minis Chazak. And the answer is yes. Because the only way for us to get through the Yam Suf is to go through this Galus. The only way for us to get to Mashiach is to go through this Galus. So we sit there this Shabbos and we scream Chazak, Chazak, Minis Chazak after what looks like the darkest pasuk, because that's the pasuk we're in. Chazak, Chazak, Minis Chazak. Because at the end of the day, Bereshis leads us to the end of the world, which is Mashiach. And that's the lesson that we have to learn from Yosef HaTzaddik. And the only reason he was able to save us was because he was able to break his nature. When he should have hated his brothers, all he said to the Malach, to the Ish is, I just want to be one of them. I just want to be accepted. They're trying to kill me, they try this, they try that. And even when they got to Mitzrayim, he said, I recognize you. Why don't you recognize me? I want to be part of you. Why am I not accepted? And that's something our generation has a big problem. This group doesn't accept this group, and this group doesn't accept that group, and if you have a hat and you don't have a hat, you see it. No, that's the problem. That's what he told the Malach. No, all the brothers. Reuben's one kind of guy, Yehuda's another kind of guy. These are B'nai Bilhah, these are B'nai Zilpah, these are B'nai Leah. They're all very different. We're all brothers. And finally at the end, Vayishak, Vayinashe, and the brothers said, now we'll talk to you as a brother. May we all be Zeicher, Klal Yisrael, to be able to talk to each other as brothers, and then we'll see Mashiach, Amen.